Everyone, Big Alexander Clark here. I'm just going to do this preview video for the upcoming Andy Bolton Deadlift Challenge on the 13th of October. Now, this is not another call-out video. This is a semi-serious, objective look at what I think is going to go down on the 13th of October when some of the best deadlifters in the UK face off against each other and try to walk home with the title. Basically, Andy Bolton has put together this challenge, and it's going to be done on powerlifting rules, on those terms, whereby you can't wear straps, you can't hitch, you can deadlift sumo or conventional, and in this one you can deadlift raw or suited. So I would imagine that most people, given the choice, would probably wear a suit to maximise their chance of winning. So those are the rules, and I'm going to go through each of the athletes and basically give my opinion on how they'll all fare on the day. So first up we have Sam Bollins. So he's a guy who has probably stirred up the most, shall we say, controversy, or rather interest, around the event. All the call-out videos started with Andy Bolton calling everyone out, and then a couple of people, myself included, Dell included, replying, and then Sam Bollins just kind of, he really did shoot us all down with a really good reply video, and he's very good at that. He is pretty good at doing that type of stuff, so hats off to him for that. Now, personally, I think with Sam's personal best of, I think he's pulled something like 365, 370 in competition. Recently at Body Power he got 375 to the top, to lockout, but he lost it with his grip, so the lift didn't count, of course. Now, if he hasn't made any improvements on that, I personally don't think that type of deadlift around the 370 mark will be enough to break the top three. Sam was going to pull out of the Andy Bolton Deadlift Challenge simply because he went on holiday a few weeks ago, around the time you'd be starting your prep, and due to the partying and the not being on your diet and whatnot, he lost a few kilos, he lost some weight, he lost some strength, and he was going to pull out, but after seeing the call out videos, he decided that he was going to do it. Now, I wouldn't count Sam out too much, because as you know, sometimes when you do that comeback type of thing, when you start at a deficit and then really start going at your training and you're eating again, you can come back at a level which is above where you previously were. Also, on his side, he's got Sebastian Oreb doing his coaching, his programming coaching, sorry, and Sebastian Oreb is famous for programming Thor Bjornsson, and we all know that Thor is now capable of near a 500 kilo deadlift, so who knows what this program is going to do for Sam. Don't count him out. Next we have Matt Pullen. I don't know a ton about Matt. He's a young guy, he's only recently into powerlifting. Yeah, I think he's like early 20s, mid 20s, so he's pretty young, and he's pulled 370 at the Savage Pro. He then went on to Tattooed and Strong, and he actually tried to open with 375, but ended up losing that with his grip, similar to Sam actually, and he bombed there. So all depends how much progress this guy's made. Good. If he's made a lot of progress, he's up in the 380s, 390s, he'll be cracking the top three with a chance of winning. If not, then it doesn't look like with something like a 370 deadlift that you're going to be cracking the top three at this one. Next up is William Newton. Now, Will hasn't been really talked about much in this one, probably due to the fact that his previous PB was 330 that he did at the AWPC World Championships recently in Manchester. I mean, that moved pretty well, but then he failed 345, and as we know, anywhere around that is, it just won't cut it at the Andy Bolton Deadlift Challenge with the standard as it is. However, Will recently put a suit on, and as anyone who knows anything about equipment lifting will know, putting a deadlift suit on when you're sumo does add a fair bit, because you're in more of like a squat position, you'll use a suit more. He recently put up a video of him deadlifting 340, and it really did move quite quickly, so he's got more in the tank there for sure. Personally, I think with Will's style, I think the trade-off here with having your legs so wide on a sumo there is balance and stability. I think the way Will deadlifts with those very wide legs and a very wide sumo, what happens is, in my experience, having tried it myself, the slightly lighter weights move like lightning, but as soon as you get to like 90% or above, that's when, like, if the bar drifts in front of you, it can get out in front of you, and if it does just a centimetre, then it's game over. And you can also end up trying to lock out that way with your legs bent, and that doesn't work either. So that's the thing, you know. You can see weights like 340 that is just pulled there, moving like lightning. Put another, you know, 10-20 kilos on it, might be a different story. But although I don't think that Will win this comp, or he might not even crack the top 3, I think, you know, he'll have a good day, and he'll definitely hit a BB, because his deadlifting is looking pretty good at the minute. Okay, so next on to Graham Hicks. Graham Hicks is a very well-renowned strongman within the UK. He's been to World's Strongest Man. He's competed against the very best, and you know, he's no stranger to high-level competition. So I'm sure he won't be phased by this, but it is a new venture for him, moving into a powerlifting style of deadlift. Now, recently Graham Hicks posted a 400 kilo deadlift on his Instagram. That's the most that any of the guys in this competition of late have posted, you know. The only person in this competition to have deadlifted over 400 kilos before is Andy Bolton, obviously. Now, that 400 kilo deadlift, although it was strong, there were soft knees at the top, and presuming that this competition is going to be reffed well and correctly and as strictly as it should be, that 400 kilo will not count. So unless he cleans that form up and gets that lockout looking good, or he just you know, improves his strength so that he can pull it cleanly, or if he opts for a slightly lower attempt on the day, you know, that could cost him a lot. You know, if he goes up too much of a big jump and ends up with the soft knees and gets red lighted, you know, it's not so much of a guaranteed win, but he is dangerous. You know, he's a guy who looks like he has the most strength at the moment there. So, you know, it looks promising for Graham. He's definitely one of the front runners there so far in terms of training videos. Okay, so next we have Delroy McQueen. Delroy McQueen is a very well-known UK powerlifter, and he's been around for years. You know, he's consistently put up big totals, big squatter, big deadlifter. Recently, however, Delroy McQueen has had a hamstring tear, and his deadlift training has been somewhat tentative. He's been nursing that hamstring tear, and he's obviously, you know, you can see in his recent deadlift videos, things look a little bit slower. Now, whether that's due to the fact that he's doing that on purpose so that he doesn't re-tear his hamstring, or whether that's due to the fact that the injury has caused things not to fire quite as well as is typical with being injured, and hence it slows you down a little bit and makes you a tiny bit weaker, we don't know. I personally want to see Del at his best on the day. Last year Del was second to Andy Bolton. He pulled 382.5. Andy then stepped in and pulled 385. Del went for 390, failed it. I hope Del's at his best on the day, because, you know, he will crack the top 3 if he is, I'm sure, or at least he'll have a very good chance of doing so, maybe even winning. So we yet to see what he's actually got in store. Next, the man himself, Andy Bolton. Last year he won his own Andy Bolton Deadlift Challenge. Now, this competition is in aid of Kidney Research UK, and Andy Bolton has had some severe problems with his kidneys of late, hence why the competition came about and hence why it's in aid of that charity. Andy's currently waiting on a kidney transplant and he's undergoing regular dialysis, so things are pretty tough for the guy at the moment. He's not the deadlifter he once was, but he's still putting up some big numbers. Like I said, he won last year's Andy Bolton Deadlift Challenge with 385. So if he's been able to capitalise on that, and even if he's been able to, I think it'll be able to get his 49th 900 pound pull, which is 410 kilos, then honestly, I think if he can get to that 410 number or 400 above that type of territory that he's been to before, and he's the only one who's been in that territory before, then I believe that he'll win. Okay, but we just don't know. He's been posting training videos, but they've all been kind of like speed work, you know. He posted a 240 double for speed work the other day.
Hey mix, I'm on the Clark, Sam Mullins, Dylan McQueen, Matt Cullen, no fucking chance.
They move very quickly, and that's indicative of great strength, but we don't know where he tops out, so it'll be interesting to see where he does. Speaking of the Kidney Research UK, I'm going to get the details off Andy, and if there is a good Just Giving page, I will put it in the description below so that you can support the cause, because, you know, kidney research, it's a very, very worthy cause. Okay, so last on the roster is me. I'm competing equipped. I'm obviously competing sumo, so as we said with Will, the deadlift suit adds a lot onto a sumo puller. My best so far in a suit in competition has been 375. Now, I did that 375 at a comp in London, and I hadn't had much experience equip lifting. I had washed my suit with fabric softener the week before, which obviously softened my suit. I could get down to the bar easily, so although the suit did help me out there, I believe that I curtailed what I was actually capable of, and had worse, you know, I lifted less than I was probably capable of. So 375, although it is my PB, you know, I honestly think I'm capable of more. I've gained more strength since then, and I honestly think that if everything goes right with this training cycle and on the day, 400 is within my reach. You know, I'm strong enough to grip it. You know, I've pulled 370 raw recently, so things are looking good. If that sumo deadlift suit does add, you know, 20 kilos on. My recent training, I've only done one equipped deadlift session in this cycle so far. It was for triples. My recent training, I did 340 for a triple with my looser suit on. This is a 50, I compete in a 48, and with a stiff bar. So obviously with a tighter suit on and a deadlift bar, you know, it would have been different. It would have been a bit more, I believe, and I'm sure other lifters will agree. So I will have a really good idea of exactly what I'm going to pull by the end of the training cycle. But honestly, 400, yeah, I think it could happen. And honestly, this is going to be one of, you know, this is going to be one of the best deadlifting events that we'll see in the UK. Obviously, there's the things like the World Deadlift Championships within the strongman arena, which are really, really impressive. You get guys like Benny, Ed Hall, and people from overseas. That's awesome. But within powerlifting, honestly, I think this is the best one, and this year it is set to be an absolute spectacle, you know. So 13th of October, Iron Athlete Gym, Rotherham. Get yourself down there if you've any interest in deadlifting. And like I say, if there's a Just Giving for kidney research, that will be in the description below. Thank you.